Hello, my name's John. I'm going to make another Kit Bash Grey Knight, and you're watching Wargames, Models and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be making another Grey Knight. I'll put some photos up of the previous ones that I've been working on and some links in the description. I'm going to jump straight into this one. The Grey Knight in particular is a Brotherhood Champion, and it's based on the Judica model from Warhammer 40,000. I've already prepped a lot of the parts, so here, as you can see with the main body, I've trimmed the pistol holster off, so it did look like this, and it now looks like this. And I'm going to stick a few details on there and kind of work a few bits out as I go, but I've got most of the bits here. So the first thing that I want to do is prep the body. So let's just move a few things aside. And what I want to do is stick this book over where the hole is, add another little detail to the belt, and I'm going to stick the backpack in place. Reason why I'm putting the backpack in place early is so that when I position the arms and the shoulders, it's all going to fit quite nicely. So first things first, a little bit of plastic glue over this hole, and then position this in place. And the reason why I'm doing it first is I'm impatient and I want to let this dry as quickly as possible before I get onto sticking the arms and other bits and pieces on. Let's just get some glue in place. There we go. And then the next bit I want to add is this little key. I want to add it just to that line there. So what I'm going to do is another little bit of glue first, so it tacks it down, and then put this in place. So I'm going to have to move it around a little bit just to line it up exactly where I want it. Let's put a little bit more glue. Now, I've really enjoyed converting these Grey Knights. It's obviously a similar aesthetic to the Grey Knights that we can get at the moment because I've used Grey Knight parts, but also it's kind of created my own aesthetic because they are slightly taller, a lot taller. The current Grey Knights are tiny because they're the old Space Marines. When we'll get an update, who knows, but I quite like the idea of having a small group of Grey Knights. And I'm using Space Marine backpacks, the original ones, because they're slightly smaller than Primaris ones. So again, it starts to make them look a little bit smaller. But there we have the first part of the body prepped. And what I will do, I'm going to put it on its base and glue it to its base already. I do like to make sure things are glued to the bases early rather than put them on something else for painting. I tend to paint everything on the base that it's sitting. But what I will do is I'll make a video looking at all of these Grey Knight conversions that I've made, so we can have a look at how the whole kind of squad looks together. It may be part of my Hobby Roundup, maybe a separate video, I'm not sure yet. So there we have the starting of this Brotherhood Champion. So the next job, just put that to one side, is changing the sword. So at the moment it's a pretty cool sword, to be honest, with the flat end along there, but I want to change it for one of the Nemesis Force swords, And what I'm going to do is trim this one off either side of the skull, and then do a similar thing on the foresword, the Nemesis foresword, to make it fit. So I'm going to take my time on this because I want to keep this weapon for another project. If it goes horribly wrong, I'll take the whole thing off and I'll just replace it with the top of the sword, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, there we go. So I want to be really careful with this because that's now held on with pretty much nothing. But I'm going to put this to one side so it goes into the bits box, which is becoming emptier and emptier at the moment, and that's the whole point of this current project. It is to reduce the amount of things I've got in my bits box. And also, I want to finish off a load of projects that have been sitting around for years. If I do like these conversions, what I may do is create a whole selection of Grey Knights, and I've gone and pushed them. What did I say a minute ago? Got to be careful of that. Okay, now this is... Okay, I've got to think a little bit now. Because of the power generator on this sword, it isn't quite fitting in place how I'd like it to. I can do it the other way. Okay. So I'm going to try and glue this very carefully with this hanging there. It may end up coming off with the... Yep, there we go. Okay, let's take that off. So that's come off, but that's okay because I can glue it back in place once I've got this in all together. So I'm going to hold this carefully while... Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let that dry for a while, let the glue go off. I may have to use a bit of super glue on this, even though I always prefer the plastic glue. Right, I'm going to just lay that to one side, and while that's drying, let's get the left arm, which at the moment you can see I've already shaved off the shoulder pad because I'll be putting this Grey Knight shoulder pad on there. What I need to do is take the gloved hand off at the wrist and replace that with a Grey Knight arm with a storm bolter on. So let's trim that off and then tidy it up. There we go. So I will at the end of the video leave a few photos of this conversion so you can see it a little bit clearer. So that's going to sit in there like that. Let me trim it back a little bit further. Okay, yep, I'm happy with that. And what I will need to do, I didn't have a magazine for this Stormbolter, but I do have some spare magazines from some intercessor kits, so I will cut that and fit that to it later. Right, let's see how the other arm is doing. Okay, slightly bent. Okay, let's put a little bit of glue on here. Now I may have to add some green stuff to this later on. I may have to tweak and adjust it, but let's push that down a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. What I am going to do is get that fitted to the body. Now I'm keeping this arm without a shoulder pad because I like the idea of the whole dualist look with this model, with the robe being taken down around the shoulder. So I am going to leave it as is without a shoulder pad, give it a little bit of a distinct look as well for the Grey Knight. Okay, let's carefully put that in place. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. What I may need to do is tack with a little bit of glue the sword blade to the backpack to give it a little bit more solidity, but for now I'm just going to leave that as is. I'm really liking the look of that so far. So let's just put that to one side. Bring in the other arm again. Now I may have to remove some of this purity seal and bend it down or something like that to make it work a bit better for the direction that this shoulder is going to be facing. So what I'm going to do, let's glue that in place. So I've been planning this model for quite a while, since I started the Grey Knight conversions. And obviously this one is a leader of the group. I have got an idea for another conversion for a squad, but I'd have to buy some bits for that. And at the moment the whole point of this project is using up bits that I already have. So I'm going to hold fire on that one, and if all of these videos are popular, then yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Okay, let's have a look and see how that fits. Okay, that's going to work nicely. I think, yeah, I'm going to have to bend the purity seal down a little bit. So let's do that before I glue it in place. And that is going to be just a case of me bending it over like that. and it has caused a little bit of stress on the plastic there, but that's okay. When I've glued it in place, I'll run some glue over it just to kind of melt that stress point and glue it a little bit more. A bit too much glue there. Let's just quickly try and save that. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. And I will just run over those with a little bit of glue just to melt that off a little bit. Okay, happy with that. This is going well. So next bit, let's sort out this storm bolter and put a magazine onto it. It's going to look slightly different to the magazines of the other storm bolters from these conversions, but that doesn't matter because as this is a character, it kind of stands apart from the other ones. And the one thing I have been thinking about with this little project that I've been working on is the minute that it's complete and the videos come out, what are the chances that we'll get an announcement that there are new Grey Knights coming out? I'm going to say high because that's always the way of it. But it might be quite a few years before we see Grey Knights. I predict... Okay, here's a prediction. We'll see Grey Knights in either the end of this current edition or coming into the beginning of the next one, when something happens to the Emperor. That's going to be my prediction. Very vague prediction, but we'll see what happens in a few years if any of that's valid. Okay, I've got two hands to choose from now. I've got a hand as a fist or a pointy hand. Let's put this in place and have a think. Right, what I will do, I'm going to glue it in place and then decide which hand to use. I may have to find a different hand in my bits box for this if these don't work. But for now, I don't mind using one of these ones. I can always take it off if I find something a little bit more suitable. Okay, right, I think I'm not going to go for the pointy hand. I'm going to go for the fist. Just trim the wrist back. Now the fists for these conversions aren't the Power Armor Grey Knight fist, they're actually the Terminator Grey Knight fists. So they are slightly bigger than necessary, so they look a little bit out of place, but I don't mind it because with the aesthetic that I've gone for, it looks a bit like maybe bulkier armour or something like that. Oop, don't drop the converted mini. Right, I'm going to trim quite a bit more off that fist to make it fit. Okay. Nearly threw glue everywhere then. That wouldn't have been the best move. Right, I will need to put a little bit of green stuff down that hole, but I don't mind at the moment. Right, nearly there. So, final addition is going to be the head, and I have a helmeted head for this, which I think is one of the spare ones from one of my Sword Brethren kits. Whoops. Let's put that back in. Okay. I need to sort that hand out now. I'm not happy with that hand right now. Let me take that off. Do a little bit of trimming on that. I want to be happy with it. Okay. Right, let's re-glue that back on. It'd be nice not to have to do any filling or anything like that with this model. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now I do have a few purity seals that I could put in place. Yeah, I'm going to add that purity seal to the arm. So I'll leave a link, like I said, to all the other Grey Knight videos that I've been working on. And if you do like them, please drop a comment and hit the like button on them. And if you've got any other suggestions for conversions that I could be working on, likewise, drop a comment. And if you're new to the channel, really appreciate it if you hit a follow as well. It's being able to see all of these new followers that I'm getting, all the new subscribers. It's much appreciated, and I really like sharing my hobby with all of you. And the more people there are, the more ideas that I can get from you guys when you message me. And I really do like it when you message. There we go. Okay, there we go. So here is my Grey Knight Brotherhood Champion to lead my Grey Knight kit bashed squad. I'll put some photos at the end of this model, but for now, thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.